Hello, I'm here. And did you miss me? You bet your sweet Bippy I missed you. But more importantly, I have some terrifying tales to tell. So let's get right to the scary stories. Story 1, The Man in the Window. I used to joke that I didn't need curtains. Who would stare into a third-floor apartment? Well, no one until one night while watching TV, I saw a reflection of a pale face pressed against the glass. At first, I thought it was a trick of the light, maybe caused by a delivery truck's headlights. But then the face stayed there even after the truck drove away. His hand then smeared down the window, leaving fog. My heart froze. He was watching me. I screamed and quickly called the police, but when they arrived, the window was locked from the inside. I told them I'd seen a man just outside the window, but they didn't believe me. They told me I was imagining things. I begged them to look outside onto the fire escape, but they just said no one could be out there. The metal bars were too thick and tall for anyone to climb through, and the doors to the stairwell were locked from the outside. The cops eventually left, telling me to call if anything else happened, and I didn't think it would. But when I went to bed, I found muddy footprints under my bed. He hadn't been outside. He'd been inside with me? What? Was he in my apartment right now? I found myself screaming, "Get out, get out," while I looked under the bed and in the closet. I spent a horrible night huddled in the corner, waiting for the sun to rise. Since then, I sleep with all the overhead lights on, just in case. I also taped a huge sign to the window, begging anyone who might see me to please call the police. But so far, no one's come. No one except the creep who watches me every night. Story 2, The Parking Lot Shadow. Every night after work, I walked the same route through the parking lot, but I wasn't paying much attention. One evening, I heard footsteps matching mine perfectly, never closer, never farther. I turned around, empty, but the footsteps didn't stop. They quickened when I ran, slowed when I slowed. I thought about running to my car, but the passenger side window was broken, and the only thing keeping me safe was a flimsy cardboard sign taped to the shattered glass. Then I had an idea. I ducked behind my car and waited. A few moments later, I saw a dark shadow walk past me. The man was wearing a ski mask, and he didn't seem to notice me. I stared, frozen with fear, as he disappeared around the corner. I immediately called the police, but when they arrived, I couldn't describe what I'd seen. The man in the ski mask had vanished without a trace. The next day, I told my boss I had to quit. I simply couldn't go back to that place. Just before clocking out, I went to my car. On the windshield was a note. It read, "You forgot to say goodbye." Story 3, The Wrong Number. It started with late-night texts from an unknown number. "Hey, beautiful, why are you up so late?" I ignored him and tried to forget about the creepy message. But the next day, he texted again, "Hey, beautiful, still up?" He said he wanted to make me laugh. I responded by blocking the number. But the next night, the text came again, always from a new phone. "Cute pajamas tonight?" I froze. Was he watching me? I asked the police to trace the calls, and they discovered the phone was a prepaid phone. That Saturday, my ex was arrested for trespassing in my building. The police searched him and found the very same phone. They also found a photo of me in his pocket. It was a Polaroid shot of me changing clothes. I didn't know he'd taken it. The last text I ever got before he was locked up said, "If I can't have you, no one will." Story 4, The Roommate. For the last 2 years, I thought I'd been living alone. I'd rent an apartment. I paid the bills. I cleaned the house. What more could I ask for? Well, how about a roommate? I mean, I may not have noticed her if she wasn't so careless. First, I noticed that food was missing from the pantry and the cupboards. Then I began finding drawers and cabinets that I swore I'd left closed. Open, I left it off. Stress, I told myself. But then I woke up one night to what sounded like heavy breathing in my closet. When I flung the door open, nothing was in there. but the smell of sweat lingered. Maybe I just imagined it. After all, who would sneak into my closet at night? Then the landlord came by a few weeks later to check the crawl space. He discovered a sleeping bag underneath my apartment, along with wrappers and a Polaroid camera. He took a picture of me, or at least the bed where I slept. Whoever it was had been living above me the whole time, only coming down at night. As soon as the landlord left, I packed a bag and headed straight for a hotel. Story 5, the delivery. This is going to sound crazy, but I swear it's true. I got a package. I didn't order anything. The box was small, just bigger than a shoebox. Inside was a single red rose. There was no card and no sender. I tossed it. The next day, another one arrived, delivered at exactly the same time. And every morning after that, like clockwork, there was a box at my door. Every day, there was a rose. Roses filled my apartment. I never should have opened that first one. I wouldn't have minded the roses if that was all it was. But the second week, the delivery changed. Instead of a rose, the box held a knife. The note simply said, "Next time I deliver in person." I moved states overnight, but last week I came home to a box on my porch with a single rose inside. Now it's time for you to tell me which story was your favorite. And don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode. See you next time. Bye.